Creating this video to help you work on the Julie Johnson level 1 basics of keyboard theory book. Okay, so then the first lesson is about no names for both treble clef and bass clef. And treble clef, the most important thing about a treble clef is where this circular thing is. That's where G is. This is G. Okay, so I think most of us already know the notes, the no names that we have are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So this is G, G, then that makes this an A, that makes this an F. Okay. And then it talks about ledger lines. Ledger lines are the lines that we add on top or below the staff to be able to write more notes. Because if you think about it, the piano has 88 keys. So it's going to be impossible to fit all the notes within the staffs, even if we are using both treble clef and bass clef. So we have ledger lines to stack on top. It's kind of like this. If you have a bookcase that's filled with books already, then you'll probably want to put some books, if it's okay in your house, in front of the bookcase or below, like, you know, right in front and on top of the bookcase. So it's kind of like that, just because it's impossible to fit all the notes in the staff though, so we have ledger lines. So I'm just going to write a note that has a ledger lines. Okay, so this is a bad example. I'll tell you why it's a bad example later on, but I didn't do it so well. Okay, so basically G, G, A, B, C, D, F, G, A, B, C. So that's a C. Lesson 1 also talk about the directions for the stems. We have different types of no values, and most of them do require a stem going up or down. So I will try to draw a quarter no. When the stem is going up, it's to the right of the note. When the stem is going down, it's to the left of the note. So like that. Okay. The reason why I said what I did over there was a bad example is because this is a whole note. If you look at printed music carefully, you realize for whole notes, the oval should be tilted to a different direction than quarters and the halves and the eighths. Okay, so this is basically what the first lesson is about. Then we get to move on to lesson number 2, which is about sharps and flats and naturals. We encounter sharps and flats in music, and then they appear in 2 different ways. One is in the key signature, and one is in the accidentals. So how I think of it is that key signatures are like season passes, that it's good for the whole entire piece. Most of the time, and of course they can have key changes, but at this stage I think it's pretty much for the whole entire piece. And accidentals are like single tickets, that it's only good for that particular note. However, one thing you have to know about accidentals is that actually, I just caught myself said something wrong. It's for that particular note and then reoccurrence of the same note in the same measure. So I think I should make myself a little more clear right now that in a piece of music, this treble clef doesn't look that good. The bottom is messed up. Okay, so in a piece of music, if this is a B flat, the next B automatically becomes a B flat as long as they are within the same measure. Okay, so key signatures are written in the front of each line and in both clefs. Then it's not in the lesson 2, but I think it's kind of important that I talk about it at the moment. So if you have a piece of music, the key signatures go before the time signatures. So if this is in F major, I will have a B flat here. And I have to write it at the bottom for the bass clef also. And this has to be done at the beginning of each line. It's not like the time signature where we only put it in the very beginning of the piece. And for me, I think it gives me a reminder of what key I am in. So this chapter they talk about sharps, flats, and naturals. Although we say like F sharp, the sharp's actually written to the left of the note instead of to the right of the note. So like this is what F sharp looks like on paper. And the name of it is F sharp. When you're writing note names, always use capital letters because it's a name. And how you read a sharp sign, flat sign, you just look at what the box in the middle. And every time I look at my own handwriting, I see something bad. The sharp sign is supposed to take up the space of that. So this one would have been written a little more properly than that. That's a little too small. So then the box of the sharp is at where the note is. So if you're writing like F sharp, it's not good to do this because what if you have multiple notes, right? Pretend you have F and C and then you see a sharp there. Then you'll be like, wait, is that F sharp, is that C sharp, or is it both, right? So just make sure the sharp sign or the flat sign is always right next to, oops, it's too small again, next to the note that it's for and to the left. We also have the natural sign that basically cancels the sharps or the flat. So all natural notes are white keys. Let me draw a flat for you. I'm just going to write a B flat. Notice how like the middle of this kind of looking thing, half of a heart, is right on the line because the B is right on the line. Oh, I forgot to talk about how long the stems have to be. I think in the book it says 3 spaces long. I've always thought of it more an octave long. So if the note is C, then I just go down until the next C. So it's 1 octave long. Okay. Then the next thing, the next lesson has to do with whole steps and half steps. Half steps are just the key to the next key right next to it. Like C to C sharp is a half step. And then C to C sharp to D. C to D is a whole step. So 2 half steps add up to a whole step. So I think I'll draw a keyboard right now. Okay, so da da, it's a half step, da da, it's a whole step. So 2 halves add up to a whole. So that you can tell people like the distance between the 2 notes apart. Like let's say da, C to E, da 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 da. That's 4 half steps apart. Okay. Then let's go on to lesson 4. It's intervals. Intervals are basically the distance between 2 notes. in level 1, you only have to know the number. So it's kind of like measuring the distance between any two things. Let's say from my house to Lucky's, which is a supermarket close by, it's 1 mile. To me, that's close enough. I think I only have to know it's 1 mile away. I don't have to know it's 1.1 mile. So in level 1, you only have to know the number. And then the number is pretty easy to figure out. Pretend you're trying to figure out the distance between C and E. C, D, that's a third. Then the distance between C and F, C, D, F, that's a fourth. So basically we count both ends. You just kind of go up the scale, like go up the C, D, F, then that's a fourth. So I think that's what I'm going to talk about today, and hopefully you can finish up to page 14. And you can buy the answer book and have your parents correct it, or correct it yourself. Hopefully your parents are the ones who are doing the correcting. Then page 14, they have you do additions of intervals. So we could do this together. This is bass clef, right? C, D, that's a second. And then that's C, that's a third. And then C, D, E, F, G, that's a fifth. So they're just saying second, third equal to fifth. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And enjoy doing the workbook.